الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. So today we are going to talk about a new section. It comes under the theory of contract, of course. This is all, I think, couple of weeks. I think we are going to talk about the same chapter, which is the theory of contract, right? But we have different sections under this topic. Earlier, we talked about three pillars. So that's why this is a new slide, which I put it number 7, theory of contract. In bracket, you will see the purpose and effect of contract. This is to make it easy for you to understand the topic because the next one will be like condition of contract. Then you have classification of contract. Then you have options of contract and so on. So this week we are going to talk about the purpose and effect of a contract. Usually, you know, most of the time, this is something that we don't explicitly talk about, but it doesn't mean that it is not important. So we talked about, what are the eligible, I mean, what is the eligibility for someone to do contract. We talked about whether it is halal or haram to do such contract, but equally it is also important what purpose that you want to do the contract. uh. So please pay attention because you have a project paper. You are supposed to do a project paper on this topic. So I think I want you to understand well, right? If you have any questions, please ask me at the end of the class. I will also, inshallah, introduce to you your project paper and at the end of the class. All right. Okay. So you see, like you see in the slide, every contract has a certain purpose and effect. So if you want to know what exactly purpose, the purpose is actually, well, the purpose is actually why people use that contract. All right. For what purpose? They ask you, why do you want to buy this? Why do you want to have this service? Huh? Why you want to take this insurance? Yeah. Why you want to deposit your money into this account? All right. Why do you want this service, this product, that product? All right. Why do you want to pay your tuition fee? So this is actually will give you the answer of purpose. For example, I want to buy a car. Okay, what is the purpose of buying the car? It's because I want to own it, right? That's why I'm buying. Um, I want to rent the car. All right. Why do you want to rent the car? Maybe because I cannot own it, because that's why I'm renting the car. But I want to use the service of the car for some time. Why do you want to buy this house? Why do you want to rent this house? Hmm? Why do you want to have an insurance policy? Why do you want to have a service like, the package? For example, you want to buy a package of a telecommunication or internet unified, right? So there must be a purpose that actually people always have to do such thing. So which means that I'm going to also talk to you about how many kinds of contracts that we are talking about. I told you a couple of them right now. For example, buying and selling is a kind of contract. Renting also is a kind of contract. Insurance and security. Then we will inshallah talk about, there are 7 types of contract actually we are going to cover in this class. All right. And based on that 7 types of contract, you will be inshallah doing your project paper. Okay. So what is the consequence? I mean, sorry, what is the effect? We talked about the purpose, right? What is the effect? The effect is actually the thing that happen once you have the contract, meaning to say the consequences, the result that happen after that. and the rights and liabilities of the parties. So once you bought it, what happened? Uh, you want to buy the house because you want to stay in that house, right? You want to buy that house because you want to live and stay safe and secure in that house. That is the purpose of the house. But what is the effect? The effect is actually what happened once you bought the house. The effect is you become the owner of the house. All right, the ownership will transfer. It used to be to someone, but after you bought it, it is transferring from someone to you. All right, so this is what we call transferring. I mean, this is what we call effect. The purpose is actually what? The purpose for it could be for both of you. For example, you want to buy this product from someone, let's say a person A. So A is a seller and you are B. Now B buying stuff, a thing from A, which means that they are exchanging their counter values, right? When I want to buy something from someone, he won't give it to me for free. So he needs money from me, and I need that particular product from him. Let's say I want to buy a phone from the shop. The shop owner, he wants money from me because he wants money. That is his counter value. All right. Then I don't want money. What I want actually a phone. That's the reason why I went to that phone shop. So now I am exchanging my value to him, and he is exchanging his value to me. So we both agree upon these counter values. Do you understand the counter values? Because I have money and he has the product, and we both meet and then we negotiate and then we exchange our product, meaning to say we exchange. Let's say I exchange my money to him and he exchange his product to me. So we are actually exchanging the counter values. So this is what actually happening with mutual consent. If either one of you is not actually understanding or not happy about what's going on, let's say if he is not happy about selling his phone because I didn't pay him the proper money, I didn't pay him complete money, I didn't pay him like he asked. So now his mutual consent is not complete, right? His consent is not complete. Now I'm ready to pay the money, but he doesn't have the variant of that kind of phone. I mean, the particular variant of the phone. Maybe I was looking for 32 GB, but he has only 16 GB. All right. And now your consent is not actually complete. So this is what actually happening. So if you both you have mutual consent, then you are exchanging your counter values, then only the contract is complete. Now, exchanging your counter value is become purpose. And what happened after once you pay the money, you come out and you become what? You become the owner of that phone. So this is what we call transfer of ownership. This is what actually is the effect. All right. So now the purpose of a lease. Let's say I told you about the contract, right? The sale, the buy and sale, selling and buying. What about ijara? In ijara, what is the purpose? In ijara, the purpose is actually allowing the tenant to use. It's like a usifrat, all right? Allowing the tenant to use the leased asset become the purpose, and in effect transfer the ownership over Usifrat. Remember, we talked about the ownership over the property. We also talked about ownership over Usifrat. Remember, when you are uh, renting a house, then you cannot become the owner of the house, but you can become the owner of the Usifrat, manfa'ah, the benefits. Yeah. So now the effect is to transfer the ownership over Usifrat. The same thing goes to kafala contract. What is kafala contract? It's actually guarantee. For example, you want to have a loan from the bank, someone has to become the kafala, the guarantor. So now provide a guarantee is actually a purpose. Providing guarantee is a purpose. What is the effect? What is the effect? The effect is to enable the creditor to claim his debt. Let's say you are my guarantor, and I got the loan, and so the purpose is actually providing a guarantor. But what is the effect? The effect is, let's say if I'm not able to pay, the bank has to ask you to pay, right? This is what happened in guarantor, right? So the effect is to enable creditor to claim his debt, either from the principal debtor or the guarantor. The parties are at liberty whether or not or to enter any certain permissible contract. However, once they concluded the contract, they are automatically entitled to its purpose and effect. Any condition that would change the purpose and effect of a contract is not acceptable. See now, I am selling my house, which means that the purpose is actually what you want to reside in my house. That is the purpose. Someone letting my house, someone to live. But the effect must be the ownership, right? If I put the condition, for example, I'm ready to sell my house, but you cannot become the owner for some time. You cannot become the owner immediately. Maybe you have to wait 6 months to become the owner. Now the question is, the effect is not happening. What is the effect supposed to be? The effect supposed to be immediate transfer of ownership. That is not happening, which means that I have to wait for 6 months. Then why am I buying your house? If you are saying that I can become only owner after 6 months, then what is the purpose of having the selling the house? So wait until I keep my money. I will pay you after 6 months. That time, this is what happened, right? When we are selling and buying car, we want immediately transfer that, because we are paying full. If you are paying half, is a different scenario. If you are paying half, if you are paying like gradually, like monthly basis, like installment, that is actually the different scenario. I'm talking about the full money, full cash. When you are paying full cash, you require to become the immediate owner, right? So that's the thing. If the effect is not happening, all right, then the contract is not acceptable. I want you to think the same way, you know um, how you are actually thinking about the current and modern examples. I want you to think about, the advertisement that people are doing today. What kind of purpose in that advertisement is that happening? Let's say someone say that, okay, use this shampoo, use this soap, use this cosmetics. All right. Somebody say, okay, use this cosmetic within 7 days. You will see difference in your face. Use this shampoo, your hair will be glowing. These kind of things. We have seen so many advertisement samples. Am I right? I hope you understand, because you have seen so many right now. If you watch YouTube, every 2 minutes you will have an advertisement. So I want you to think in that way. Let's say put it advertisement and think about it. What is the purpose that they are saying? Huh? Is it if is it they are fulfilling the purpose? And what about the effect? Is it the effect is going to happen? This is where actually, nowadays we have so many platforms to share comments about the product. For example, like now, if you buy anything from e-commerce, anything from, let's say, Lazada or Shopee, whatsoever, then definitely you are able to give the credit, or you are able to give the review and comments whether you like it or not. If you don't like it, if the purpose is not, for example, someone sold to you, a company sold to you earphone. That earphone was good, but when you start using it, it gives you trouble. So now the effect is not there, right? Because the purpose, actually, you wanted to hear music or talk or something. That was a purpose, but the effect didn't happen, because the effect, supposedly, it has to work for you. You become the owner, of course, but it has to work for you, but it is not happening. So now what you're doing, you are returning the good. So now you are returning because the effect is not happening. All right. So think about in this way. Let me give you more examples, because actually the slide that I'm going to show you, this slide is not actually is originally from this class. This is actually going to be in different class. For example, like after 2 weeks, you are going to talk about the classification of contract. But I thought it's quite familiar. That's why you will see here number two, classification based. So forget about number two. Just concentrate on how many categories that we have based on their objectives and effect, based on their purpose and effect. Okay, objectives, purpose, same. Contracts are divided into seven categories. So remember these seven categories. I want you to bring the modern examples from these seven categories, and then I want you to do your project paper. So this is number one, uqud at-tamlikat, acquiring ownership. These are contracts that are concluded for the purpose of obtaining ownership. All right, like sale, rent, gift, waqf, all those things. What? Tamlikat, acquiring ownership. Number two, waiving the rights. It's called isqatat. These contracts used for the purpose of waiving the rights. Right? For example, a creditor may release his debtor from the debt or waive his right to demand the loan. For example, the bank can come and say, okay, you have to pay remaining this money, but we are waiving. You don't have to pay. University comes and say that, okay, you have to pay for 5,000 remaining tuition fee, but you don't have to pay. It's kind of waiving the rights. Then you have authorization. The government also can do the waiving. Then you have the authorization. It is called itlaqat. Uqud means transaction. Uqud mean contracts. Itlaqat means authorization. These contracts used for the purpose of authorization, like guardianship and agency. We talked about it earlier, right? Agency, guardianship, the authorization contract. Right, this is number three. Then we have number four, taqiyidat, imposing restraints. For example, there are some contracts whereby a person could be prevented from exercising certain. You can actually stop someone to do it. It is also a kind of contract. Taqiyidat, meaning insane, minor, bankrupt person could be prevented from dealing with their properties. Yeah, we talked about it earlier, right? So it is all very, very, very much familiar. These minors, bankrupt, insane, they cannot actually do. They are prevented from dealing with their properties. Then we have tawsiqat, number five, in providing security. These contracts are intended for security. Kafala, hawala. See, this is what I told you before. Guarantor, for example. Kafala is actually what? Guarantor. Hawala is also something like, money transferring. All right, from one person to other. Pledge. Remember pledge? Ar-rahnu. The Malay word is ar-rahnu. In Arabic also rahan. Ar-rahnu is actually also pledge. You have to give something so that you can take something from that institute. You have to give your certificates of your houses, or maybe you have to give them your gold. Then you say, okay, I want to borrow money on behalf of this gold. After a few months, I will return the money and then take the gold back. All right, the jewelry, for example, you have jewelry, you can give it to the rahanu. Right, this is what we call pledge. So this comes under what?
Sir,
Security. Yes.
sir, can we say that ukud at-tawsiqat same as ukud ta'minat?
Ta'minat is actually, you mean the insurance?
Yes, yes.
Insurance. Yes, very good. Yeah. I think that's a very good point as well. I also didn't add it here. Yeah, ta'minat is also tawsiqat. This is the same meaning, but luckily you pointed out. So now I think the insurance, all those things will come under number five. That's very good. Thank you so much. Yeah. So now you see, you have a you went to takaful and you want to have an insurance. You want to insure your car. You want to insure your house, right? This is all comes under a kind of providing security. All right. Very good. Very good. Then you have number six, uqud al-ishtirak. Al-ishtirak is actually a partnership. Now you know about this musharaka, mudaraba, murabaha, all those things like partnership kind of thing will come under ishtirak. Then finally, you have safekeeping property like hifz. This hifz is also a kind of protection, of course, but most probably it's like a saving account. It's like, we have a contract of wadi'ah. Wadi'ah is actually safekeeping of properties. Like you go to the bank, if you notice, your account will be called Wadi'ah account. Let's say you want to be al-Muamalat and you go They call saving account, they call wadia account, meaning to say that it's a kind of safekeeping property. These contracts comes under all these actually 7 types of contract that we are talking about. I want you to think about the modern example of these. You can choose any 7, any of it, and then you need to do your project paper. I will let you know the details later. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now we talked about this purpose and effect. All right. It is also, of course, it is similar. It is actually related. Let me ask you this. We talked about the pillars, right? We talked about 3 pillars expression. We talked about how, who, and what. Uh? We talked about the expression. We talked about the parties of the contract. And then number 3 is what? We talked about what? The subject and object matter, right? Okay. Now, 3 pillars need to be completed, fulfilled in order to initiate, implement, execute a contract. Now, is that only necessary, or is it the intention behind is also necessary? Okay. For example, uh, someone has completed, fulfilled all 3 uh, pillars, and he is going to a shop and he is buying a knife. He is uh, to in order to buy a knife, he has to fulfill, of course, all 3 pillars, and he has fulfilled it. And then the shop owner also already saw him. He is not a minor, he is not insane, so he gave him the knife. But he bought that knife to kill someone, not to cut vegetables, to cut someone, to kill someone, right? So now what happens to this contract? We call it unlawful motive, because his motive is not right. You got what I'm saying? He is completely good. He bought, for example, someone bought like a 5 kg of grapes, all right? And then he went there, and then he's of course completely adult, and then he completed all the pillars of the contract, and then he bought 5 kg of grapes. But he bought that grapes to make some wine, not make some juice. Huh? So now he came back home and then he started making wine. Now, my question is, what happens to this contract? How do you call this? Is this contract is valid or not valid? What do you think? Does this existence of unlawful motive, because this is not a lawful motive, because lawful motive means your intention must be halal. All right, your intention is something that, okay, I'm buying this for this purpose. The purpose is actually halal purpose, not haram purpose. I don't want to kill somebody, I don't want to make wine, I don't want to do all these prohibited things. I'm buying this so that it could be anything, not necessary that I give you example for grapes and knife. It could be anything, it could be like, let's say you want to buy some bricks, uh, but your intention is to throw the bricks to someone. uh, so there are many unlawful motives. So now the question here is, you have completed all the pillars of contract, and it seems like, does it that we need to look into this unlawful motive? How do we know that he is actually doing it unlawfully? You understand my point? So that is the question. Now you will see interesting points from 2 mazhab. There are 2 different group. The first one is according to Imam Shafi'i, Imam Hanafi. All right. According to Imam Shafi and Hanafi, they say all these, they don't, first of all, they don't look beyond the agreement, because it is the hidden intention. Unless it is expressed, it's a different thing. All right. But we cannot see now this much what they say is completely it is actually quite interesting to say this, but we need to understand this. They say the contract is valid, but act is haram. All right. So now I know. Most of you getting confused. What are you saying? You see, when as long as you are actually fulfilling the three pillars of the contract, and then you are buying a knife from someone, your contract is valid, but your action of buying that knife to kill someone is actually haram. So now, this is where actually clearly there is a line between valid and haram. It's a it's a very thin line. Actually, we need to understand this because we cannot know. First of all, we cannot know the hidden intention. You understand my point? We cannot know what he is thinking unless if he himself come and say, I want to buy the grapes because I want to make wine. Then if you are the seller, you are not supposed to sell to someone who wants to do the prohibited things, right? Because that one, because you already know that he is actually going to do it for this purpose, and he is going to make haram, then definitely you will stop it. So that one is the different scenario. But if you don't know what he is buying for, then the act actually is, sorry, the contract is actually valid, but that particular action that the buyer did, it's actually haram according to Imam Shafi'i, but makruh tahrimi according to Imam Hanafi, because the difference between haram and makruh tahrimi, we talked about it earlier, long before. So now they say by al-aina, the sale of grapes and the sale of arms during the civil war, the ziwaj al-muhallil, are contractually valid, although they are makruh tahrimi to the Hanafis and haram to the Shafi'is. But according to Malik and Hanbali, the other group, madhab, they say that look at the cause or the motive of the parties, that this cause and the motive is unlawful. That's why the action and the contract also unlawful. It will become invalid even though it happened. But for them, it become invalid. For example, if someone provide gift or money to somebody, some authorities, let's say government authorities or police sectors, or this is called bribery. This bribery is actually completely invalid. uh, and then they also argue that the permitting such contract would promote prohibition. So now, according to them, they use one of the legal maxims, one of the secondary sources of sharia, which is sadd al-daraya. Remember sadd al-daraya, we talked about blocking the means. Okay, according to the method of blocking the means, so you need to block it. If that thing gonna happen, then they are blocking it. According to this idea, they say, okay, that is invalid. This is according to Malikis and Hanbalis. Then we have fictitious contract, which means that apparently it looks good, but inside is not good. This happens when apparent intention, irada zahiriya, is present. Irada zahiriya means apparent intention, and hidden intention is absent. This is we call fictitious or artificial. It's called sauriya. Sauriya means artificial. This is a fictitious. For example, if there is a contract, like for example, someone wants you to do it in duress, meaning to say someone pushing you and asking you that you should sell it. Let's say there's a gunpoint. He has a gun and he's selling, okay, sign on this paper. What's going to happen now? He says, okay, you have to sell your house to me just for half of the price. And then he say, if you don't sell it, I will do this. If you don't sell your car, I will kill someone from your family. Another kind of dialogues. So this is called duress. It could be anything, not necessarily it has to be explicitly talking about killing someone. They say, okay, if you don't sell this, I will not let you do this. That kind of. It's called duress. Yeah. So let us talk about, there are four deficiencies in consent. This is all called artificial and fictitious contract. The first one is a duress, like forced against someone, threatened with the death, deprivation of his limbs, severe beating, for example. Now, what happened actually when someone do this? He apparently he has to agree upon the consent, but intentionally the hidden one is actually he doesn't want to do. That's why the Sharia wants to be favored to him. So the Sharia says, even though it looks like the contract happened, but the truth is it didn't happen. We need to. That's why Sharia says that this thing cannot happen. If someone make you do it, you can come out later and say that no, I. You can come and say later to the Sharia court. You can say that okay, that one was happening because of the duress, because someone pushed me to do it, so it is not possible. All right, the conditions are like this. Of course, the force is capable of implementing his threat. The person force is certain. It's not like like someone say simply, and then it's not like a threatening means she should be a real threatening, like a endangers life, that kind of threatening. All right, not like if you don't sell your phone to me, I will not talk to you. That's not a threat. That's not duress, by the way. I will not talk to you. That's not actually a kind of endangering life, right? So remember, not that kind of duress, real duress, meaning to say real endangering life, for unlawful purpose. If the threat is immediate, then the majority, according to the majority scholar, the contract is void. Maybe it looks like happening, but it is void. It is not valid. All right. The second way of looking into a fictitious contract, it could come because of the mistake. Sometimes you thought it is gold, but you go home and you open it's a silver. Now, definitely, that contract is batil, because you pay for the gold, but you pay for iPhone, but you are getting Android. How do you get it? Both of them are phone, both of them functioning the same, but it is not the same. So now we have the difference between substance and attributes. Remember, there is a mistake in substance, like gold instead of silver, and or for example iPhone instead of Android. Then we have attributes. For example, colors. Let's say you bought a yellow color, you want to buy yellow color tudung, but you got it, you go home and you open the bag, it was a blue. All right. So there is a colors or maybe some other things, variants. This is called attributes. So now, when a mistake with regard to the essence, then definitely this will invalidate the contract. Okay, but when there is a mistake in character, sorry, when there is a mistakes in attributes, for example one color and later he noticed the different color, then it depends on the contract. If you can go back and change your color, it's okay. But the contract cannot be invalid, it is still valid, but you are given choice to go back and change the color, because you say I pay for yellow color, but you agree. Do you have yellow color? Go back and change it. If they don't have yellow color, then it is up to you to cancel, but it is the approval of the party. But basically, it will not become invalid until you go back and you can change. Number three, we talk about fraud here. It's actually called tadlis in Arabic, meaning to say that it refers to a situation where the performer of a contract is made to believe. See, there's a difference between fraud and deception. Fraud is actually, his intention is actually what? Cheating someone. It could be actual, it could be verbal, in the form of hiding the truth. Actual means what? Actual means his intention is actually to cheat another person. For example, painting a car in look like a new car, or changing the mileage in the car. The car is actually the old car, but he says a brand new car, but he's changed the entire seats inside, and then he changed the color of the painting, the mileage also he changed. He looks like new. So the majority of this opinion, the purchaser has the option to return the thing, while the Hanafi say the purchase is entitled to compensation. This is I like it. Majority they say he has to return because the contract is invalid, because he fraud actually. No, he actually cheated you. But Hanafi says a step further. According to Hanafi, it is not only that he has to replace, he has to return, he has to also ask for the compensation, because you believed him, you trusted him, and you went all the way to buy that product. Now it is not. then you ask for the compensation. All right. Verbal is something different. Verbal is actually where one of the party tries to convince another party. For example, giving the wrong information. They say you buy this one, it will be good, like this, like this, like this, blah blah blah. Giving the wrongful describing thing. This action is prohibited, of course. It amount to be cheating, but it doesn't affect the validity of the contract, except when the goods are sold for a higher price than the market price. As in this case, it combines both fraud and serious deception. We will talk about serious deception in the next slide. All right. It is called Robin Fahish. All right. Because this one, he is actually trying to tell you, okay, buy, for example, you buy, for example, he says that, you buy this drink, it's a special drink, it's a special juice. But he give you wrong information about, this drink will do this, will do that. But if it is like a same price in every market, because sometimes this is what we call marketing. But remember, marketing means doesn't mean that you can lie. You cannot lie. That's not the real Islamic way of marketing. But today it's happening. They say that, for example, you use this shampoo, your hair will be glowing. You use this cosmetic, within 7 days, your friends will tell you you are so handsome, so beautiful, that kind of thing. So these are the things are there, as long as it is not sold higher. For example, sometimes they make you buy and then they double the price. When they double the price and they make you buy with this wrong explanation, then the contract is invalid. All right. Because we call this a Ruben Fahish. But if it is the same price, but someone gave you the wrong information, but it's the same price, whether you buy here, you buy there, same, then you have to just ignore it. All right. Fraud may also happen when a seller doesn't disclose the defects of the sold goods. Example, accident in the car. In this case, the purchaser has the option to defect. This one we will talk about in the contract of options. We will talk about the options of a contract. It's called a khiyar. When you buy something and then you found out that there is a mistake. For example, the owner of the car didn't tell you that this car was an accident. Most of the time it happens. People, they don't tell. But you find out later it went to accident. The accident happened. Then you have other choice to return the car, and you can, it comes under option of defect. Khiyarul aib, they call it, which entitles him to either approve or cancel the contract. Okay. Then you have the last one, which is we call deception. Okay. Here you have deception means what? This is the ignorance of the buyer, because as a buyer, you didn't know about the product very well. It happens because of the true price of the commodity. There are two types of, because you have no idea about the price. It's called al-ghubun, right? This al-ghubun has two types. One is the slight deception, yasir. The other one is the serious deception, fahish. Uh, Now, for example, the slight deception means you want to buy a particular product, but it is actually less than, it is 10, only 10, within the 10 percentage of the margin. I mean 10 percentage higher than the market price. Then we call this, for example, you buy something here and then you want to buy the same thing in the airport. The price will be different, and you want to buy something here and you want to go to a place like Genting, up there, and you want to go to some special places, for example private land and everything. Of course the price is different. It is called market price, different market price. This is actually called slight deception. The contract is still valid. It is up to you whether you want to buy or not, but it's still valid. But if someone selling, for example, serious deception, it's called fahish. If the deception is serious, the contract can be invalidated on the ground. It can be someone selling for the double price, triple price, then it can be invalidated, but there is more. According to Hanafi, Ghubun alone uh, cannot cancel the contract. But if Ghubun comes together with Taghrir, okay, now what is Taghrir? Ghubun, you understand, right? Someone wants to sell something for additional price. This is called ghubun, deception. Okay. What exactly taghrir? Taghrir means wrong description of the item. He put something on outside the box. The reason it is expensive because of this. You eat this, you will be like this. You drink this, you become like this. You use this product, you will be like this. These are the additional tagline. You remember when you look into the advertisement, they always bring that. Like for example, they always bring makes energy moving forward. This kind of taglines they give. But if they have the wrong description, and then they want to buy, they want to sell that product to you, which is a double price, which is actually a weapon. Then, according to Hanafi, the buyer has the option to cancel the contract. Okay, this is actually what they say. It must be accompanied with taghurir. Remember, wubun together with taghurir, meaning it is additional price. But if there is no wrong information about additional price, then the contract is valid. That's why I said sometimes you go to some places, you will be seeing differently. Let's say if you happen to be in Singapore, or let's say you happen to be in Singapore and you want to buy a Coca-Cola, it's actually double the price in Singapore from compared to Malaysia. If you go to Hong Kong, it will be triple the price. You want to buy a Coca-Cola in Hong Kong, you have to pay 5 ringgit, small tin. We pay here 1 ringgit something, right? Over there, you have to pay 5 more ringgit. So meaning they didn't say that this is 5 ringgit because of this additional description. They don't say it. So according to Hanafi, this ghubun is not actually a ghubun. It is actually valid. The contract is valid. It's up to you whether you want to buy. But if they say this is 5 ringgit because of this wrong information, then the buyer has the option to cancel the contract. You got it? Okay. To the Hanbalis, the existence of gubun, whether accompanied by taghrir or not, affects the validity of the contract. They say gubun itself will affect the validity of the contract. The buyer, according to them, has the right to cancel. Okay, this is where they are bringing about the case of talaqi rukban najash. Okay, what is najash? Najash, not najis. Huh? This is najash with the noon jim sha. It refers to an increase in price by a third party who is not actually buying but wants to encourage others to offer a higher price. When you are in auction, sorry. When you are in auction, sometimes if you have seen the real auction happening, someone will be there always, increase the price. His intention is not actually buying. His intention is he can increase the. He's actually a internal guy. He's actually same group. He's what they call it. He is the friend of the seller. He is from them, among them. So he will do, actually, he will increase the price so that others can follow. This is called najash. And then talaqi al rukuban, which means, if there is a farmer bringing products to Selayang, and before he reached Selayang, someone stop him on the way in Rawang, and then ask him to sell everything to him. And then he says that, okay, I buy from you for this price because this is the market price. But the reality is that is not the market price. All right. Because when the farmer come directly to Selayang, Selayang means the market, the vegetable market, the wet market, the dry market, whereby actually you can sell everything, all the vegetables and everything. If the farmer come directly and he sell himself, then he can actually get the real price. He can gain. But there are some agencies always stop them before, and then they take everything because they say, okay, we are offering this price. But the truth is it is not, because the price is good if they come directly to the market, right? So this is actually a kind of act. He says that this act is should be prohibited. Okay, now we talked about Hanbali. What about the Shafi'i? According to Shafi'i, a person is cheated should have known the actual price or should have asked those who had experience. So now, according to Shafi'i, this is different. According to Shafi'i, say it is up to it is on you, on you. You are supposed to make sure that you are buying the good product. You must know the knowledge. Remember, many scholars they said, learning the market is wajib. Okay, one of them is actually Imam al-Ghazali. He says that learning the land. Even in fact, Hazrat Umar ibn Khattab, he says that you have to go and learn. If you don't know the market, don't go to market. So, according to Shafi, he say you should know the price, you should learn the price. Without learning the price, why did you go and buy? So now it is your fault. This is what according to Imam Shafi. So now I think it is good because now even everybody do that. When we go and buy something from the shop from someone, we always check the price in online, right? We check the price in Lazada, we check in Shopee. What is the price? Then we say, okay, I can buy this price in online. Can you give me the same price? See, this is how people nowadays they are doing. All right. Okay. So that's all from me. So please take this note, the attendance. And